Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So, we are going to kick off this inaugural video where we're going to discuss current events by speaking on the incident in Uvalde, Texas, at the elementary school. We are not here to discuss gun rights. We are not here to discuss Second Amendment. We'll save that for another video. What we're here for today, first and foremost, is to send thoughts and prayers to the families that are impacted by this. It's a horrific, terrible tragedy, and we need to be figuring out ways to heal together. But having said that, I wanted to dive into some of the facts that we know right now. And as of right now, all the information we're getting is basically through the news media, and you know that news and information changes constantly because they know as much as we know half the time. There was a press conference with the Uvalde police press conference, and we did get a little bit of information, which has subsequently changed. So initially what we have is this 18-year-old purchased rifles on his 18th birthday. On the date of the incident, he shot and killed his grandmother, and then went speeding off in his truck, ended up crashing in a ditch outside. According to the police, there's not a lot of logs or anything like that about any police chases or anything, but he crashed his truck in a ditch outside the school, and 911 calls reported that they saw a man with a rifle in the immediate proximity of the school. So there's a lot to unpack here, because as the incident progressed, from what we're being told now, the most recent information is that there was no student resource officer. I don't know what everybody calls them in different states, but in Florida they're called student resource officers. They are the armed police officers that are on site at the schools. There was not one. So I'm all for standing up and defending law enforcement however I can, and I don't know whose problem or whose fault this was, whether it's the police department, whether it's the city council, whether it's the county, whoever made the judgment call that there shouldn't be a police officer in the school. That is a gigantic failure by whoever made that decision. There should have been a student resource officer at the school. In Florida, at least in my cities and counties, there is a student resource officer at every single school. Sometimes there's multiple, depending on are they at-risk students and stuff, students with criminal history. Sometimes they have multiple student resource officers at those schools. So that's a gigantic failure. That's number one. Number two, from what we're being told, the gunman was engaged by police sometime before he entered the school. I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback them too much because I don't know all the details. But the reality is it's a gigantic failure that law enforcement engaged this guy and he still was above ground and able to walk into this school. That's issue number two. Issue number three is that the most recent information that we have is that the gunman was able to get in a back or side door that was unlocked. That is a gigantic failure on the part of everybody involved at the school. If you come to Southwest Florida, where I live, the schools are like Fort Knox. I mean, they don't let anybody in. I mean, you gotta do a criminal background history, give up your blood, a sample of your blood, everything to be able to get in there. You stand at the door most of the time and show your ID in the camera, and they shuffle your kid out like you're exchanging war prisoners. Like, they don't even let you come in to pick up your kid. They shuffle them out the door. So the fact that a door was left unsecured and he was able to get in there is insane. That is, somebody needs to be held liable for that. Moving on to the response by the local police department. I have been involved in several instances where we have had to run code, get there, someone's armed with a gun, someone's armed with a knife, someone's whatever the case may be. In the state of Florida, and I'm pretty sure it's throughout the entire country, it's pretty uniform, but I don't want to say that 100% because I'm not sure. But I know that the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, their standard guidelines for incidents like this, if there's an active shooter, you get there, and it doesn't matter if you're by yourself. Obviously, if your guy is seconds behind you and you can wait, great. But if you get there first and you're by yourself and there's active shooting going on, it's go time. You roll up in there, it's go time. And we saw the same problem with Parkland. At some point, a captain got on the radio and told the deputies to stand down. And as someone that has had to make snap decisions, and as someone who has had to go through chain of command, I can tell you right now, as a police officer, you are required to use the common sense to know when you're being given a bad order, and you do not stand down. If lives are at stake, you do not stand down. Let them fire you. You go in there and you save those lives, and that's what it should boil down to. I don't know the details. We're only getting so much, but and I don't know that they were told to stand down. What I do know is they stood by and they waited for the SWAT team to get there, and another agency, I believe it was the Border Patrol or whoever was nearby, actually went in. There are videos circling the internet of cell phone videos of family members pleading with them to go inside and get the kids out. That is a gigantic failure. And I don't, honestly, I don't need a whole lot more detail than that. If you're standing by and you're hearing gunshots and you're not going in because either you're scared or you're told not to, or whatever your policy is, that is a gigantic failure, and it's an embarrassment from someone that worked in law enforcement to others. That's an embarrassment. I'm waiting for some kind of information to make me eat those words, but as far as I can see, that's an embarrassment. It should not have gotten down to that. Those police officers should have been in there, and they should have been taking care of business. As far as Southwest Florida is concerned, and the state of Florida, active shooters, there are no drop the gun warnings. Shots have been fired, you go in and you end the threat, period, end of discussion. That is how law enforcement is trained in Florida, and I would assume Texas would have been the same way. We're waiting for a lot more details, and honestly, I like to try to be as objective as possible, but I do have a bias towards law enforcement, and I may sometimes end up not accidentally, but I may end up leaning towards them, to give them the benefit of the doubt. But in a situation like this, I don't see how information comes out that makes this any different or makes it any better. This was a failure from top to bottom, front to back. Politicians politicizing this about, gun control or whatever else. All of you should be fucking embarrassed and fucking ashamed, because this is not the time, this is not the place. People need to heal a little bit. So after a little bit of time has gone by, I will do a video on gun control, because obviously this is sparking the debate. So let me know any thoughts, opinions, any information that I left out or maybe was not aware of. I definitely I'll make follow-up videos as necessary. But this is a horrific time, and a lot of people have a lot to answer for this. A lot, from the school district to the police department to everybody. This was a failure on everyone's part. So again, thoughts and prayers, and God bless the families that are suffering through this time.